Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there is Michelle Chalfant.
Right across the room, thousands of miles away.
Don't tell.
I know, I'm sorry. I know,
Don't
people think
tell.
we're right across from each other staring at each other.
I'm staring at your picture, and that's enough.
Yes.
That's enough.
That's true. I am staring at you in that monk outfit. So.
Yes. We're talking about ending relationships today, and not just romantic relationships. While sitting firmly in our adult chair, it's kind of a downer. I hope this isn't a downer of an episode.
No, it's not.
It's gonna be okay.
In fact,
okay.
I'm hoping to give. I'm wanting to give people hope. Is what I'm hoping to do today. So
okay.
No.
Hope is good. I can deal with hope. All right. But before we dig in, you know the drill, everybody. Head over to theadultchair.com to learn more about the show. You can subscribe for free on our mailing list. We would love you to do that so you don't miss any of the great stuff we send out via email, including the monthly Michelle's Magazine email newsletter. It comes out once a month, and it includes guest articles and recipes for healing nourishment and Michelle's monthly meditation. All great stuff available only to newsletter subscribers of Michelle's Magazine. So once again, at michellechalfant.com, right on the homepage, subscribe to the mailing list. It's a great thing to do. You can also find us, of course, anywhere finer podcasts are served, in Apple's Podcasts app or Google Play. And you can join the conversation over at Facebook or Twitter. And don't forget, please join us in the private Facebook group, The Adult Chair. It's really great. You can find it right off of our main Michelle Chalfant fan page. That's the place to be. If you haven't requested your invitation to that place of healing and vulnerability, you want to do it. There's some really great stuff in there. Did you see my little inner child picture?
I was just thinking about that. Yes, little Woody. You look like the guy from Toy Story.
You know what's great about that is, for some reason, I don't know how this happened. I was a real human boy when that picture was taken, but I feel like my limbs were all bent backwards like a marionette. How does that happen to a child?
That's what I said.
It's I've never heard that, but Michelle, that is as perfect a description as I've ever heard of my your
backward
child.
Elbows,
so good.
Your limbs.
Yeah. Like my knees are like ostriches. How does that happen?
It was very cute, though.
Anyhow.
But yeah, we're having just so much. Oh my gosh. I don't even have a word for what's happening in that private group. It's just a place for all of us to share, what's going on in our lives with, there's so much beautiful vulnerability. I keep saying that, but I love it. And it's really a place for people to go and share and get really beautiful feedback and comments and help with navigating life from the adult chair. So if you like the show, come join us in the closed group. Just great. We're having such a beautiful time.
It's really great. To everybody who's already in the group, thank you for sharing and posting and participating and helping one another. That's really what the group is all about.
Lots of great support.
Yes, truly. Okay. How do we end relationships from the adult chair, Michelle? Where did this come from, first of all?
Well, when I have some clients that come in, my clients are so inspiring for a lot of these topics, or just people in general ask me questions. But relationships, some of them last a lifetime, but many of them don't. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, what is the purpose of relationships? And for me, I really believe that there's a higher purpose, whether it mean we find a life partner and we're with that person forever, to learn and grow from them. I really believe that we're here to learn and grow from each other. And I don't mean even from an employer-employee standpoint where we're, learning about accounting. I think it's always about soul growth. So how much are we growing from this relationship? How much are we getting and learning from each other in different relationships? So when that growing is over, and it's not necessary, relationships end. And people sometimes land in that adolescent chair and the ego gets all fired up and pissed off because so-and-so hurt me, or so-and-so is mad at me, or so-and-so is being mean. And why is this relationship ending? And they're so mean. And, there are all kinds of reasons that we will come up with from the mind. But oftentimes it's just time for it to be over. And there's nothing to be mad about. It's honoring the ending, if that all makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. But you know what? I'm Oh, I've got so many things going through my head. The first is, this is really scary.
What's scary about it?
I mean, how does that hit you? I can have this higher level conversation with you about how it's great to honor relationships that have come and to also honor when it is time for them to end. But when I put myself in a position of really thinking about, of sitting with that feeling of the relationships that I have that might be at that point, that might be at the point of ending, it's really hard for me to imagine taking an active role in it. And that's what we so often don't do, right? We just sort of let it linger on the vine. We stop returning phone calls. We do something that doesn't really honor the growth that we may or may not have had with that relationship, and it just evaporates I'd say regret.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that, as you know, that we're all down here. We have these souls, and these souls are down here to learn and grow. And when that relationship, or when a relationship is done with the growth, the soul's like, okay, it's not like the soul comes down and casts people aside by any means, but if it's really run its course and we've tried everything and talked through it and tried to live authentically and spoke our truth. And again, when we're in our adult chair, that's what we do. We say, is there anything else I can do? What's going on? Yeah. And here's the thing, sometimes people can't speak up about what's going on. So, and if they can't, and there's a problem, then we can either bury it, which feels gross to me. I mean, I don't know. I can't bury that. I'm not good at that. But some people can, and then they have to numb out. But as people grow and learn, if they can't talk about what the issues are in a relationship, then it is going to be over. And it's okay. That's the big takeaway, is that it's okay. Not every relationship is meant to be forever. I just had a client today say, as I told her, probably when my son graduates, and I've said this to a few clients, in 2 years, we'll probably leave this state. So, and some clients are like, oh my God, you can never, ever, ever leave. Please don't leave me. Who am I going to learn from?
No.
And I've said to them, there might be another teacher for you then. I don't think I'm the end all be all, but I think people stop in for a year or less or longer and learn. We learn from each other, and then we go on to the next person. So I just find, I even have, in my own life, I have people that I was friends with from childhood or elementary school or high school that, we're just different people now, and it's okay. It's okay, and honor that we're different and we had a great time way back when. Honor it. It's not to say that they're bad people or I'm a bad person, but it's like, it's okay. We don't have to be best friends anymore, and life goes on. And when we're in that adult chair, we can cling to that perspective that, I guess my learning is over. Like I can move on from this person, and it's all good. I still love them, but it's all good. It doesn't feel good anymore to me. So it's time for me to move on.
Can I ask a maybe unrelated question? I'm very curious about this. I'm curious your thoughts on relationship collecting on services like Facebook. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I think we've moved sort of past the crest of this wave, right? When Facebook first started, let's say about 10 years ago, and people started getting on it and seeing, oh my gosh, look at all these old high school boyfriends and girlfriends, and like, look at all these high school friends, and I haven't talked to them in 20 years, but I'm going to send them a friend request, and they're going to accept the friend request, and all of a sudden we're going to get on each other's friend page, and we're going to post something that's kind of nice and casual, and then realize, my goodness, we have nothing in common anymore.
Right.
Have you had this experience?
Yes.
My experience with it is that it happens all the time. Yeah. And I've been forced lately, and this episode, this whole set of notes that you posted about this experience has made me really reflect on that if I am really going to do honor to the relationship that I had with these past friends and colleagues and relationships, then maybe trying to desperately rekindle what I had with them then when I was a whole different person,
right,
is doing a dishonor to them. You really feel, I've never really been in touch with that experience of it's the end of growth until you said it, and I thought about it in this context. I did all my growing with these people already.
Right.
I think I'm done.
Yes. And it's okay. That's the key statement. Like, it's okay. It's not that you're bad, they're bad, you're wrong, it's none of that. It's that it's just done and it's okay. You don't have to rekindle. We can be friendly. It's not that we have to hate them, but it's just like, wow, I'm going to honor that. It was such a beautiful time in my life and I loved it and I've moved on. They have, and we're different people now and it's all good, and let it go. We do that from our adult. We let it go. Now the adolescent chair wants to cling and why don't they like me and blah, 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 stories.
Yeah,
and
they don't like all my pictures. Why don't they like all my pictures?
Exactly.
They need to appreciate appreciate me, right? That's the adult or the adolescent chair.
Exactly. Yeah. What's wrong? Why aren't they liking my stuff? Do they not like me? What's going? I just had someone the other day say to me, you haven't, I don't like my personal Facebook page. I really am only on Facebook for my Michelle Chalfant business page and then that adult chair closed group, but I have to go through the personal to get to the others. So I'll look literally at the only page that's up. I'm not one that scrolls through for an hour, looking what everyone else is doing. So I really don't pay attention to what people are posting. And I did have someone say to me, you haven't liked my stuff lately. And I realized that's how people get validation and all. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, why aren't you, you're not really engaging with me at all. I said, I don't engage with hardly anyone on Facebook, like probably one or two people, only if they're on that home screen of mine. And that's it.
I totally resonate with that, right? Because particularly with tools like Facebook that are rationalizing and justifying relationships algorithmically.
Yes.
When people see your activity somewhere else, like for example, on your, main company page, and they see that you are not interacting with their stuff personally, that becomes sort of cognitive dissonance, right? They can't hold those two things in their heads at the same time, especially if if the story that they're telling themselves about their relationship with you is not one that's manifested online.
Exactly. We have to remember this. The basis for everything in life is energy. And so if we're not, again, we go back to the law of attraction, which is like attracts like. If I am a certain way and you are not, it means we're not a match anymore. And that's okay, right? So the people that you were friends with, maybe, let's take college for an example. If you partied a lot, I'm going to use myself. I partied a lot in college, okay? And then I
we're going to have to do a related episode on your experience in college.
Okay. Yes, we will. That was the old Michelle. But anyway, I partied a lot. I was numbing out a lot of different things in my life, for sure. I had a lot of pain back then. But so the friends that I made were partiers, right? And then I stopped as time went on, of course, hung a lot of that up, and then started meditating and started my own personal growth and self-care and mindfulness and yoga and all these things. And so then when I reconnect with some of these people, again, not that I'm better than they are by any means at all. If I visit them, guess what? A lot of them are still partying and not doing anything that I'm doing. So we're not a match. And it's okay. It's like we're just different people. So I can honor that and, say hello, but I don't choose to spend time with some of these people anymore because they're just not a match. And I don't need to fix it. There's nothing to fix. So people that I know, even I have people that will come in here and they'll say, my marriage is over. My husband or my wife, they don't honor what I'm doing and I'm really working on myself and they make fun of me and I'm meditating and they think it's crap and blah, 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 blah. And I really want to learn more about myself. And they're really doing a lot of self-reflection and their spouse or their partner is laughing at them. I said, well, perhaps you're just not a match anymore. And they look at me like, well, what do you mean? I got to get him or her in here and we got to change them. And I'm like, no. If I'm not ready to change, no one's going to force me into changing. So maybe you've outgrown them. And people use that phrase all the time. Haven't you not heard of that phrase? Maybe you've outgrown them, right?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
It doesn't mean, though, that person is better than another person. In my opinion, it really is a soul growth kind of thing. It's like, your soul has learned from that person and it's time to move on. It's as simple as that. Done. It's not to say don't try and don't work on it and all those kinds of things. But if you really have given it your all and you really have become two different people, It's done. Let it go. And from our adult chair, we can say, okay, I think I'm just done. This doesn't feel good to me anymore. I've tried all these things. He or she is not interested in staying with me. It's done. Move on. Let it go.
That is the big lesson for, I think for me, the one I've spent years trying to internalize is the last part of that it's okay. That if I'm moving into my adult chair, then I will step out of relationship collection and I will be more attuned to honor the relationships that have come before and the growth that I got from them.
Yes.
And it's okay. And I feel like that's something that's worth meditating on.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. And that middle chair, that adolescent chair of ours goes, no, it's not. You need to fix this.
Yeah, right.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
Do you think that you're better than them? Do you think this? And all these stories and assumptions come in. And then the energy starts moving faster. We start having ruminating thoughts and, oh my God, they're leaving. And shouldn't we maybe I should try harder and maybe it's me. And no, get in your adult chair, slow everything down, tune into yourself and what I like to call living below the chin, which is chin down versus chin up, which is in the mind and storyland and Assumptionville. Drop below. How does it feel in your body to still be friends with this person or still be in a partnership with this person, whether it be a boss or in a romantic kind of partnership or a friendship? How does it make you feel? Don't try to analyze it from the brain, which is what we do in that adolescent chair.
You know, I'm finding myself stuck on maybe an unintended consequence of this conversation that is, in fact, the exact opposite of how to end relationships from the adult chair. But for me, it's actually making me appreciate more the relationships that have ended in my life.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? That just asking this question, right? How do you end relationships from the adult chair has made me stop and think, okay, if I'm going to really do that, if I'm going to really sit in my adult chair and think about my past bosses that I've, maybe, years and years ago, end relationships because I left the company or left the organization and maybe we weren't on great terms. In fact, this is making me rethink these past experiences with them in a more honorable light, that in fact, I learned a lot from them. And I should be thinking about that now that those relationships are over, that it's okay to appreciate what I learned and not just be so bitter. That's what this journey to the adult chair, hearing you talk about it, is making me reflect on. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And that's such a great, great question to ask yourself. And in a past relationship, what did I learn about myself from being in a relationship with that person? What did I learn from being in a relationship with that person? Maybe as a soul, it was my job to come in and help only you learn. And I didn't maybe learn as much, but I served to come in and help you learn a few things about yourself.
Right.
It's not always a mutual learning. Oftentimes it is, but sometimes it's not.
What's hitting me is exactly that too. It's maybe a corollary to it, which is, oh my goodness, it's only today that I'm thinking back to some of these old relationships that maybe ended from the adolescent chair. And when I stand and sit in the adult chair, I realize, holy crap, I just learned a huge lesson and it took me 20 years to figure it out.
Yes. Yep.
Isn't that's really powerful?
Yeah. And by the way, sometimes relationships end even within family, and that's okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You see? And a lot of people go, but they're my family. But my mother's a narcissist and my mother's driving me crazy and she's so mean and blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, if they were my client, I would coach them on, of course, we would talk a lot about acceptance and work through that and the pain from, this is a whole other podcast on that. But if it means that the relationship is truly still so painful to be with that person, then perhaps how it used to be is over and you have to let it change. I have a client that came in today and it's about, she was very, very close to her mom for many years and her mom is very much a narcissist and everything is about her. And I said, has your mom really changed all that much? All these years, but now she's waking up to it. So maybe the relationship changes and maybe it doesn't look like it did many years ago. And she's trying to figure out now, like, well, what will it look like now? I'm like, well, let's just find out. Doesn't mean it has to end, but it doesn't mean it has to look like what it did in the past. So let's just see where it lands, but let's honor it. You've learned a ton from her.
I love this stuff. This is what a great. I did not expect this to be the conversation we were having.
I didn't either. This was
the
good.
Title that you wanted to talk about.
No, I mean,
this is great stuff.
Took a course of its own. That's for sure. So
it did. Ironic course correction.
Yes,
That's what this
I
is.
like
Thank
it.
you so much, Michelle Chalfant. This is such fun stuff. And I hope that people who are listening are, as they are listening to us talk about our own, or certainly my own awakenings, that they're doing the same. Think back to your past bosses and employees and partners and spouses and whatever. How did those end? When you sit in your adult chair, does that change your impression?
if that relationship is trying to change in one way or another, are you clinging to how it used to be, or are you allowing it to morph and shift into something else? Because our fear kicks in and says, oh my God, it's changing. What's happening? Why are you calling me every day? And oh my God, what's
Yes.
going on? And what's wrong? Why is my boss looking at me like that? I think he's going to fire me, or she's going to fire. Let it emerge. Let it evolve. Like, who knows what it's going to look like? But don't cling. Energy is always in motion. It's not stagnant. It is not stuck. It will always move. So relationships are energy. Let them move. They may not be ending, but just changing. So allow them to move, allow them to morph. Watch them and don't get stuck in it. That's what we tend to do too as humans. The brain gets wrapped around it and says, but it doesn't look like it used to. Well, good. Maybe there's new learning and it's going to be better. So it can go in the other direction as well. So just let it morph, let it change. Who knows what it's going to look like?
Thank you so much, Michelle Chalfant, and thank you everybody for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate your time and attention. On behalf of the fine Michelle Chalfant, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next time right here, seated firmly in the adult chair.